So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another webinar by Accounting Yard. Um, right now we're waiting one of our hosts to join, but pending that, I'll just do a brief introduction of some ground rules and also just some elementary knowledge about who we are as Accounting Yard. Because I guess not everyone is familiar with us. So as much as possible, without any assumption, we'll try to introduce ourselves. Yeah. Just if you can see my screen, just send a message of yes to the chat box so that I'm sure that everyone can see my screen of what I'm presenting currently. Great, great. All right, so I guess everyone can see my screen. So this is a webinar that actually talks about how preparing the accountant for 2026. Right. There are a lot of things like basically happening within the Nigerian environment, right? For instance, the new tax act, right? A lot of it are coming into effect. So basically the idea is how well do we know it and how does it impact our rules? And basically we have someone that will talk in that perspective. And career strategies, right? So as much as possible as accountants, everyone wants to grow, right? Either is a change of role within the same organization or it actually changed from one organization to another organization, or you're a salesperson looking to cross into accounting, or a business admin person to cross into accounting, right? How do you prepare yourself this year to ensure that that happens, right? The economy is quite high. Purchasing power of people has reduced, right? Rent has increased. Cost of transportation has increased, right? General cost of living is quite high. We want to increase our earning capacity so that we need to sustain our life and invest in either our family or loved ones. Yeah. So this is embarked this webinar is all foolproof to help us better prepare ourselves towards this year, right? 2026. So general rules, right? You can use your name in Zoom so that we can be able to address you appropriately, right? Everyone contributes, right? So we don't undermine anybody's contribution. So, but everybody is muted. The idea is to ensure that the webinar goes smoothly. If there are any questions, please drop in the chat box. And if there are instances where you believe that you want to express yourself, please use the raise hand symbol and definitely we'll unmute you. There will be instances for questions, and not every time that questions will be answered, right? And the idea is basically to ensure we are all coordinated. Yeah. So make it a chat box. You can contribute and ask questions. We're all learning. So no question is a bad question, right? So as much as possible, this just to ensure that the webinar is quite coordinated. Yeah. So who are we, right? So we are Accounting Yard. We've been in existence for almost a decade. And basically, one of our key responsibility is bridging the gap between theoretical accounting and practical accounting, right? So beyond your ICANN or ACC exams, we want to be able to provide that skill that help you ensure you're able to deliver in your work environment and be able to help you scale, right? Grow from being an account officer to maybe a senior accountant, to a finance manager, to a financial controller, to head of finance, to CFO. We are basically helping you, right? And the idea is, it's simple. When we started Accounting Yard, one of the major challenges we found was that there are not a lot of mentorship program to hold young accountants, right? So a lot of us, when we are in our various roles, we find ourselves that we have questions to ask. We don't even know where to reach out to. Yeah. So then the idea is we've been able to set that in pace, right? Such that we've created multiple channels by which accountants can leverage on to help equip themselves better, right? If you follow us closely on various social media platforms, whether LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, right? We share knowledge, right, on various through either content or videos, right, across those ones. And we have what we call it KSG, which is a group on WhatsApp, is our knowledge sharing group where we have accountants and they can basically just ask questions and there are people within our community that can answer those questions. We also share materials, right? Templates, document that explain certain concept better to them, similar to how we share on social media. So that way the accountant is more equipped knowledge-wise. In addition, we also do have trainings, right? Very affordable trainings that help equip young accountants in their knowledge, right? Live trainings and recorded trainings. We launched our learning management system, which is like a learning platform where you can actually watch recorded trainings such that you can do it at your own time. Not everybody has the opportunity of being available to attend live trainings. So if you're that kind of person, We have a similar, just think about Udemy, right? We have one dedicated for accountants where they could take courses to just help them improve their knowledge on accounting. Yeah. Our goal is simple. We want to impact the lives of over 2 million accountants, right? And through all these channels. And the webinar is one of the ways by which we're impacting the lives of young accountants. Yeah. Now, it will be a dishonor if I don't introduce myself. My name is Oladile. I'm an accountant like you. I'm also a teacher and a YouTuber. I have over a decade experience within the finance and accounting and audit space. I'm currently the head of finance. My key competence is within planning and analysis, right? Some people call me Prof, some people call me Mr. Right, and those are just basically AKs. Yeah. And we have two panelists today. One is basically name of Dayo Olusoya. Dayo Olusoya is a tax expert, and he has over close to almost 15 years experience within the tax practice, and has worked for a lot of audit tax tax firms within Nigeria. So he has very round knowledge in terms of either VAT, withholding tax, PAYE, CIT, and has very solid knowledge in terms of handling tax audit with the tax authority. And so he will be that person bringing that knowledge in terms of taxes to this webinar. And we also have yourself, Chukemeka Maduya, right, who is a HR specialist. And if you have been following us accounting closely, Emeka has been with us on many webinars, right, relating to basically job hunting, interviewing, CV review, and all. So he's going to bring that expertise from an HR perspective to help us from an accountant. How do we think we can better prepare ourselves? What are the kind of things that we expect within the HR space? What are the things that they expect accountants to do better? What are the kind of skills that you could easily build on to help you better prepare for yourself within within your job hunting and basically developing your career, right? He has a presentation for us, and definitely he'll be presenting during the course of this webinar. Yeah. So at this point, I'll pause if there are any questions from anybody before I hand over to Emeka, right, to basically do his presentation from an HR perspective. All right. Does anyone have any question, please? Okay. Let me see. Let's hear it from him. Hi, Cephas, or hi, Toby.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. When you say have a question now, is it have a question around the tax law that has been set in place, or what exactly do you mean, like, have a question?
Oh, okay. So now basically done introduction. So if you have any question for clarity at this point, right, based on what I've introduced so far, right? When we get to specific sections, when the expert has spoken and you have questions based on some of the rest things he has said, or you have questions that have not been covered by him, at that point, that's where you can ask specific questions based on those areas, right? Whether in tax or in HR or in month-end closing linked to like statutory audits, right? And you cannot ask those specific questions.
All right, so no question for now.
Oh, okay, all right, that's fine. Hi, Muhyiddin.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for this opportunity once again. I hope my question is not too early because what I just want to know is if the HR person is going to, connect us to a lot of jobs.
So I can answer that question, right? So for jobs, he's not going to connect you to jobs, right? So right now we have a job group that dedicated for accountants. I know currently the job group is filled up, but the opportunities, and I know that once Emeka has any job opportunities, he shares with me. I can share on the group,
Oh,
right? So those are
well,
things by
that's
which we
good.
connect jobs, right? But directly, we not definitely see him sharing those jobs, right? And you can follow him on LinkedIn, right? So if he drops a job, you will see it available on the LinkedIn platform.
That's great. Thank you.
All right, that's fine. Okay. So we'll just take one more question before Emeka now takes on the stage. Hygienius, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Hello. Good. Hello, Hygienius. Hygienius, you're unmuted. If you are speaking, we can't hear. Okay, sorry. Try now. Hygienius. Hello. Hello. Okay, Hygienius, we can't hear you. Maybe there's something wrong with your speaking device. But just hold it. You can also drop a message in chat box, and we can pick it up from there. Yeah. All right. So Emeka, you have the floor right now.
Yeah, thanks, Dele, and thanks for the opportunity to speak with professionals in the accounting space. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chukwuemeka Madrago, but everyone calls me Emeka, as Dele has said. I work in the HR space. I've been in the HR space almost all my career. I have 14 years plus experience, spanning financial services and mostly in manufacturing space. I've worked with EcoBank, PZ Cousins, USCN PLC, GB Foods. I work with Twinings. I'm the head of human resources for Africa for Twinings of Altin in Nigeria. Yeah, so when they reached out to me to speak about the job hunt market, I thought it was a good opportunity to give back and also to learn. I've been supporting or been with Accounting Yard, and I've been with them a couple of times to give support when it comes to the job hunting space and to also help young professionals better package themselves and prepare their CVs for roles and opportunities that will come up in the future. As somebody has asked if I would connect them with jobs, maybe not directly, but the truth of the deal is there are opportunities there, but the concern we have in the world today is that people are not equipped enough to take on those opportunities when they come. So some of the things we'll be looking at today is how to better package yourself, prepare your CV as a marketing tool to sell yourself and take those opportunities that will be coming in 2026. I'll be sharing some slides I've tried to put together, but more than anything else, I want you to listen, ask questions. We'll take them as we go along or at the end of the session. Any questions are welcome. If we can answer them now, we can answer them on the Accounting Yard platform. I'm sure we'll have opportunities to reach out to everyone that follows Accounting Yard on the various social media platforms. So I'll be sharing my screen. Please confirm with thumbs up when you can see my slides. Yeah. Can you see my slides? Did it?
Yeah, sure, I can see your slide. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Now that I'm in the presentation mode, I can't see everybody, so I can't see when you raise your hand. So if there are any questions, then please do well to bring my attention to them, or if there are any comments.
Sure.
Basically, I've been in the HR space for a couple of years, 10 years plus, and I've had many people say, oh, there are no jobs out there, or when I apply for jobs, I don't get feedback, or I get ghosted by job hunters and all of that. Let me first apologize on behalf of job hunters and HR people all over. That is not best practice. That said, the truth of the deal in this space, especially when a job ad goes out, sometimes you want to recruit one, maybe two, maybe at most five for a role, but you get tons and tons and tons of CV. For some organizations, they have application tracking software. For some organizations, they don't, and they do the sieving through the CVs manually. And that's just the beginning of the whole process. So when you do the sieving of the CV, you have to go through the CV one after the other. And then if you have a hiring manager you're working with, you have to do a summary sent to the hiring manager, a setup panel, depending on the organization. They have how they do their interview, their recruitment process. There could be 1 stage, 2 stages, 3 stages, depending on how senior the job is. You could go as much as 5 stages, and also see board members. Different styles, different ways of recruiting. But the truth of the deal is, when organizations do this, or when the process is longer than we anticipate as job seekers, we tend to get tired of the process. But it's a two-way street. Whilst people are looking for opportunities with the right organization, organizations are also looking for the right people to join them. When I say right people, we got checking people that have the right skills, soft and technical, as well as culture fit for the organization. And the truth of the deal is, recruitment processes are not 100% foolproof to be sure that you get the right people into your organization. And then that's why you have a preparation period. For some organizations, they do 3 months. Some organizations, they do 6 months. After an organization that does, some organizations that do rather 9 months as well. So different style. And all of this really is just to make sure that first, they have attracted the right people. And then after they've confirmed that they have the right people, they do everything within their power to retain them. Also from the organizational part, it's difficult to keep motivating and retaining high flyers. And there are many things people look out for. Different people have different things they look out for when they get jobs or when they look out for jobs. It could be salary, it could be work-life balance, it could be learning opportunity, it could be growth and development, etc. Even now, there's also the flexi work. I speak to a lot of job hunters, and the first chat you're having with them, they're asking you, does this role support working from home? Is it flexible and all of that? So a lot is happening in that space. Like I said, it's a two-way thing. While organizations are looking to get the right candidates, high flyers and right candidates are also looking for the right organization. In the midst of the talk of no jobs, there are people that get opportunities every day, even without applying for those opportunities. I'll talk about those. LinkedIn is one of those platforms. You just see recruiters reach out to people to say, oh, there are opportunities here. Are you interested? And then if they are, they continue the chat and all of that. So we're going to be looking at how to win in the job market, basically. And you are going to see what we have to do in particular for 2026. The world is changing. We hear that often. But the truth is, in more recent times, let's say 2024 into 25 and 2026, the rate of change is more rapid than it has ever been. Everybody talks about AI. It has become cliche, but the truth again is that AI is changing the way things are done. People are afraid that AI is coming to take jobs, but not necessarily so. What AI is doing in the workspace is that it's changing the way people think, giving people access to tools to make them more effective and efficient. So the implication for current employees and job seekers is to equip themselves with the right skills to take on those opportunities. For accountants, for example, you don't need to only churn out numbers. You need to be analytical. And there are opportunities even to use AI, technology, data analysis tools to drive this. Beyond the degrees you get from school, beyond the certification, what skills are you getting every day on the go? Before now, you hear people saying, I'm planning 3 years, 5 years, maybe 10 years. But right now, that's not even possible anymore. Because before the end of a year, things have changed so rapidly that your plan 12 months ago has become obsolete as organization and even as individuals. So what is happening? Learning is on the go. You don't even have to wait to take a 4-year course, for example, or to take some learning online. You see some bite-sized learning on LinkedIn, some of the ones offered by Accounting Yard to give accountants and other professionals the skills they need to thrive in this fast changing world. We hear of VUCA. VUCA is an acronym that has been there for a long time, but in recent times it is more relatable. You see that every day. The way we order food, the way we get food from fast food, on the click of a button, things get delivered. You give feedback and all of that. So we have to be aware what's happening in the world of work, what's happening in the accounting space, what's happening globally. Even the competition now is stiffer. People say there are no jobs in Nigeria. Right now, the jobs in Nigeria are taken by people outside of Nigeria. It's a global village. We hear that, but now we are living in that reality. You can be in Nigeria and you are working in Canada. You can be in Canada and you are working in Sri Lanka. One of the bankers I do business with, when I call their customer service people, it's all Indians I pick, never Nigerians. My bank is domiciled in Lagos, Nigeria, but the customer service people, I don't even know where they are. Maybe in Lagos, maybe not in Lagos, but they all are not Nigerians. That I know for sure. And that is the reality of the world today. You could be anywhere and get accounting jobs anywhere in the world. So what does that mean for us as accountants first? Like I said, accounting jobs are fast changing. Beyond churning up numbers, what analytical skills do you have? What technical skills do you have? How can you use these skills to make business decisions. Business leaders don't want you to just present numbers to them. They want you to come with the numbers, the insights from those numbers, and the solution. If your trend, for example, in the last 3 months shows that things are looking downward, what does that mean for the business? What can we do to make it start looking upward again? Even if the trends are looking positive, what is driving those trends? What are the insights from that? What is driving that? What can we do to maintain that upward trajectory, or what can we do to better improve the growth that we are having? So in 2006, over 60% of accounting roles are looking at data will require strong technical skills. So what it says is beyond the degrees you have, you will need technical skills to drive your profession in the accounting space. So be ready when you get opportunities to learn. Do not think of it as one of those things where people just want to make money of you. And the truth of the deal, the opportunities, some free, some paid for, that can help you get these skills that you need as you go on. The truth of the job market in today, especially for young people, there are fewer entry roles, and I'm in the space. Many organizations do not have the patience of getting people into the entry level role anymore. I'm not saying that's the right thing, but you hear this phrase, we need you to hit the ground running. And that's what many organizations are looking out for right now. They want you to come in, have the skills, and start possibly on your day one, adding value to the organization. So what does that mean for fresh graduates? You need to, for example, take on opportunities that will build your skills so that you don't have to start when you get into the organization or when you get to the labor market. Some of these things you can do through internship opportunities and volunteer opportunities. And it could be in any space. It doesn't have to be in a very structured organization. If you have a structured organization opportunity, fine and good. But small experiences like helping your mom run a business and giving her the insights from the numbers, looking at the trends of how things are going in your mom's stores, for example, this period, this happens, this product moves faster at this period. What does it mean for us? Maybe 3 months down the line, you stock that product, you get it cheaper. Things like that will help you build the skill. And when you're putting all of these skills in your CV, you don't have to say, "Oh, selling in my mom's shop." There's a way you can phrase it to announce or to communicate the experience, to communicate to the right word, the experience that you have when you're doing all of these things. Also, roles are changing. Yes, there are still full-time roles, but also there are many fixed-term contract and hybrid roles. I know people that have multiple gigs running concurrently. They don't work for one organization. They have different financials, different roles with different organizations, giving them support on the go, and they charge them as consultants. Some organizations, because things are changing rapidly and they're not certain about the evolving state of a role, they get 6 months fixed term contract roles, 1 year fixed term contract roles, some 2 year fixed term contract role. And what they do at the end of the fixed term contract, they review the contract and maybe change the terms and extend that. Then organizations are also looking for multi-skilled accountant. You don't want people that can do only one accounting role anymore. There are people that need to, for example, have tax skill, have financial reporting skill, and things like that. So in this changing space or world for job seekers, it's important that we equip ourselves to be able to take opportunities as they come forward or as they come up in this year 2026. LinkedIn is something we'll talk about. This is being used by heavy recruiters. Many times nowadays, people do not advertise for a role because of the stress that goes through saving the CV, especially if you don't have an ATL, that's application tracking license of software in your organization. You just go search for skills you need on LinkedIn. You see users that have these skills. You reach out to them to say, "Oh, there are opportunities. Are you interested?" And they take the interview. So I could reach out to 5 people that I say that have strong skills, shortlist them, and then take them through the process instead of advertising and getting 500 CVs and I have to go through all of them one after the other just to get the right candidates. Sometimes when you even advertise, let's say you get 500 CVs, 450 of those CVs do not even have the skills. So it's a lot of work, it's stressful, and it does not give value, and it's a waste of time. So I'd rather go on LinkedIn, check people that have the skills, and then reach out to them individually to get them to interview for the roles I'm recruiting for. And before I go forward, let's take a quick poll. And if you'll drop your answers in the chat room, Dele, I need your help here, just to check our polls to see where we are in our job search or job hunt space. 2 quick questions. Just type your answers in the comments, and Dele, you help me with this. One, what do you think is the hardest part of getting a job in Nigeria? I'll give 1 minute to answer. A, getting interviews. B, knowing the right people. C, lack of experience. D, too much competition. Let me see how the answers are coming in. Oh, it's mixed. All of the above. Okay. Interesting.
A and C seems dominant.
Okay, I'm back to my slide. Please confirm you can see my slide clearly.
Yeah, I can see your slide. I think
so.
A and
Getting
C
interviews. I honestly, I was expecting that to come top, and lack of experience. Yes, knowing the right people. This I'll debunk, and too much competition. About knowing the right people, when I was giving my introduction, and people say usually not the right thing. I worked in about 5 organizations. Yeah, 5. And no time in my experience did I need to know anybody to get into those organizations. For some of those opportunities, recruiters reached out to me, and for Dele is the same as well. Recruiters reach out to people that they think have the right skill without knowing anybody. You go through the interview process and you get the role. For critical business roles, one, and for organizations that are serious-minded, they put subjectivity away. We talk about knowing the right people. Yes, even if you have the network to get you the role, you get to a point where you have to interview and the organization will check if you have the skill. It's good to have the network. It's good to have to know the right people. That gives you a foot in the door. But when you get into the door, what do you have to show? Even if you get the job and you don't have skills, in the first 3 months, it will tell. You probably won't get confirmed. And even if you get confirmed, a time will come when the people that you know in the organization will change roles or leave the organization. And if you have not built skills, it's a disaster because in the end, business decisions have to be made. And sorry, some people leave the organization, and at that point, even all the people they know in the world will not help them. Getting interviews, and that's what we'll be talking about when we look at our CV. First of all, your CV should be tailored in such a way that it sells your value to the organization and the people would want to hear more about that. That's the whole essence of a CV. A CV is a strategic communication and marketing tool. Without seeing me, for example, and you see my CV, would you be interested in wanting to speak with me? That is what your CV should be doing. And lack of experience, I've alluded to it, and I'll just say more on this. As much as possible, volunteer. The truth is, organizations want people that have the experience, but they are not willing to take the risks for some organization to build that experience. Some people do graduate entry program, management entry program to help people, but some organizations don't want that. But how can you help yourself get skills even before you graduate or get the experience before you graduate? These are where volunteering experience comes in, and they don't have to be paid for. I understand the economic situation. You need money to get to maybe the organization you are volunteering for. But if you can make that sacrifice, nobody knows on your CV whether you are paid, whether you got paid for a volunteer experience or not. What we see in the CV is that you did this for this organization and you got some skills, you garnered skills and experience doing that. Whether you are paid or not is very inconsequential, and you're helping yourself. So it's like a sacrifice you're making today to get the right job for tomorrow. So help your mom, help your uncle, volunteer. You belong to some religious organization, join units or teams that could help you work in the space that would build skill. And you could put that in your CV and it becomes a selling tool for you. We'll run quickly. A quick second poll. How confident are you about getting a good accounting job in 2026? A, very confident. B, somewhat confident. C, not confident at all. If you check your state now in terms of skill and experience, how confident are you in getting a good accounting job in 2026? That should be in 2026. Quick poll in the comment section. Let's see whether it's A, B, or C.
I think A and B seem dominant.
Very confident, somewhat confident. So it's a good thing that we have people that are not confident at all. But if we do, this would help you. The truth is, you need some level of confidence. If you get the opportunity to get through the room to have an interview and you do not have the confidence, it shows through. And there are ways to build confidence. There are opportunities for you to build confidence. You can listen to webinars, listen to video to help you build confidence. Also, another thing you can do is uh, uh, push yourself to speak in the room. Some people have the natural tendency to not want to or being able to speak in a crowded room or where others are in. They don't volunteer their opinions there. This year, be intentional. It may not be easy at first, but over time, you build confidence. When you raise your hand, you speak. When people ask questions and they ask you to volunteer, raise your hand, speak. It may be difficult at first, like I said. You may say the wrong things at first, but eventually you come around. Gradually, you build that confidence. You look people in the eyes. You give firm handshake, and it shows through when you get the opportunity to interview for roles. The old mindset about job hunting, we'll talk about that. Many people have a CV that is cast in stone. When opportunities come and they say, oh, share your CV for an opportunity, they just go into their archive and they bring that CV and they share. Same CV, all the roles. This would not work. For many organizations, when they advertise for roles, they use some words, phrases, and clauses, some peculiar to the organization, some peculiar to that role. Sometimes they list out the requirements for the role in terms of skills, in terms of experience, and things like that. You want to check what is stated in the advert. Check your current CV in terms of what you've done, in terms of your skills and experiences, and use some of those words and phrases. I'm not saying you should doctor things that you have not done in the past. No. Let me put it in perspective. If on the top of my CV, the CV that I have saved in my folder or anything, I have HR professional, that's the heading. And I'm applying for a role that says you're looking for head of human resources. You go down into the ad, it says experience in manufacturing, experience in factory setting. What I will do is to go back to that my CV that has HR professional as a heading and change the title to head human resources or HR manager, because that's what I am. Different titles for different organizations. Some people have chief human resources officer. Some people have head of human resources. Some people do human resources director, HR manager, and so on and so forth. Tomatoes. Same role, but the titles may be different for different organizations. And for organizations that use application tracking software, you can set the application tracking software to save CV, because you don't want to be saving through hundreds and thousands of CV manually. You're putting your commands into the application tracking software to say, okay, check for people that have manufacturing experience, check for people that have been head of human resources. In my application tracking software, I did not put a head of talent, chief human resources officer. I said check for people that have head of human resources experience. And that's what I put in the title. So when I'm doing my CV or review my CV for that role, I put head of human resources title. I call out strongly my manufacturing experience because I have that. So I'll not say, oh, I have experience in multi-sector. Yes, I have my experience in financial services, for example, and manufacturing. So I edit my multi-sector experience to say I have strong manufacturing experience, for example. In the job ad as well, you will see some skills that might be listed. We need HR professional with talent management skill, recruitment skill, yada, 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 yada. If I have those skills, I will edit my CV to call them out and possibly put the level. So I have recruitment skill, maybe level 5. I have talent management skill, level 4. Second, if they look for French and I speak French, I put French, beginner's level, and all of those things, so that my CV looks like what they are looking for because I have it. But if I have everything they are looking for, but the titles I've used in my CV that I've made my cast in stone CV, it has Chief Human Resources Officer, multi-sector experience, overseeing 500 plus, blah, blah, blah. I have said all the nice things on the CV, but they are not relevant to the role or the ad that I'm looking at and applying for. And then when I apply, I won't get a feedback. And I think, oh, maybe some people are following me. No, I've not done the right thing to get the job or to even get the interview first. And then when I get the interview, I show them all the things and tell them all the things I've done in the past and what I can do for the organization, the value that I bring to the organization. So that's very critical. I dwelt on this so that because your CV is your first selling document. If you don't get your CV right, you will not get any interview. I know some people who apply for 300 jobs, they won't get one single interview. So you have to get your CV right. Have a Microsoft Word document that is editable. When the opportunity comes up, look at what is required. Just have the quick review. Thank God for AI. You can even take the job description, the advert, the job description in the advertised role, take your current CV, put two of them together in ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT to use your experience and your skill to tailor-make the CV for this role. And you'll get fantastic things. Then you just don't copy and paste because ChatGPT has a ChatGPT language, but you can still build your tool to start sounding like you. Then edit it. I can tell to a large extent when I see a CV that just came off ChatGPT without any edit. So ChatGPT has something. You see some long dashes. You see some repeated words like "I really appreciate." So things like that. So when I even use ChatGPT at work to compose email, text messages, and I take that to the body of the mail I edit. So I take out, "Oh, I am very appreciative," the long dashes, so that everybody does not see that and know that it's from ChatGPT. So we should also not be lazy. It is a lot of work getting a job. Please tailor your CV to the requirement of the role. Also, people keep waiting for vacancies. There are no vacancies, they keep saying. Like I said earlier, many organizations are not going the vacancy route anymore. I know those days, when I was in secondary school, I have an uncle that was job hunting. I think it used to be Tuesday, Guardian, and Punch. I can't remember now. He just buys that newspaper because organizations will just, like many pages, just list job ad. And then I see him take his marker and his pen and he circles and circles and circles and circles. And then he types his application, puts CV, puts it in an envelope and sends it. That has gone and gone forever. Now you probably see social media, maybe LinkedIn, maybe some Jobberman and all of that. That is gradually phasing out. People do referral now, or they reach out to individuals on LinkedIn. So don't wait for vacancies anymore. Network more and position your social media in such a way that it is ready for roles. Call out things you are working on. Build your LinkedIn profile so that it's as good as your CV. People can look at your LinkedIn profile. They don't even need to ask you for a CV. They just reach out to you to say there's an opportunity. Let's talk about it. Very important. So you don't have to wait for vacancies. If vacancies comes, fine and good. But network more. Let people know what you are doing. Wherever you go, tell them I'm a professional. I'm an accountant. I'm looking to work in manufacturing. Let people know. And I give an example. Many people reach out to me from my previous organizations, people that I've worked with and all of that, and they just tell me that I'm looking for a job, I'm looking for a job. Opportunities come and I forget, to be honest. And it's not because I'm a bad person, because there's a lot to do. But when people tell you what they want and they know what they want, they'll say, "Oh, Emeka, I'm looking to change roles. Right now, I'm looking to branch out into manufacturing, looking for an FP&A role. I have 10 years experience and all of that." When the opportunity comes, I remember quickly that somebody has told me about this and FP&A. And some of them I get messages from people I don't know on LinkedIn to say, "I'm looking for this opportunity, blah, blah, blah." And they package it such that it sells value. When my organization is looking to recruit or somewhere else looking to recruit, I just go back to those messages on LinkedIn, even with people I do not know, and I reach out to them to say, "Oh, there are opportunities." And I've done this, and people that have had opportunities. So don't wait for vacancies. Reach out, connect with people, package your LinkedIn profile so that it is adequate enough to get you the interview that will get you the job eventually. We've emphasized on LinkedIn. Do not ignore LinkedIn. Do not ignore LinkedIn. I said I've worked for 5 organizations. 4 of those roles came from LinkedIn. 4. And I didn't apply for them. They reach out to me. Recruiters reach out to me to say their role. So do not ignore LinkedIn. Package it, refresh it, edit it. If there are conversations around the accounting space, give your comment, give your 2 cents. People are looking, people are watching. I'm not saying it will come fast or quickly. Lucky if it does, but be consistent. Eventually, once you have the right profile and recruiters see that you are adding value and you are sounding like somebody that they want to have a chat with, they'll reach out to you and they explore. And also, do not rely only on qualifications and certifications. If you have the ICANN, great. If you are ACCA certified, fantastic. But like I said, skills required in the accounting space is changing every day. Whilst you have those qualifications, look out for opportunities to learn every day. Look out for webinars, look out for trainings, what's happening in the FP&A space, what is happening in corporate finance space, what's happening in use of technology. And just get those skills, update your LinkedIn profile, update your CV and let people know. And when you get those skills, talk about them in your workplace, because sometimes opportunities will come. Instead of them reaching out to look for new people to do that, your job could be enriched, and hopefully you get paid for that job enrichment. But more than anything, I tell people, even if you show all the things you can do in your workplace and you take on more responsibilities and they do not pay you, what you are doing for yourself is to build skills in that place. And if they don't value your organization, you equip yourself such that you can take opportunities that will come in another organization and in a place where you'll be valued tomorrow. So volunteer, take on more skills, look for opportunities to grow and learn, and let your current organization let people know that you have these skills, and hopefully you get the right opportunities you're looking for. So we're talking about that's the old style. The new style, talking about skill-based hiring. I work for a global organization, and in some parts of the world where we operate, some people do not, the job description I see do not even mention qualification anymore. Like you will not even say you need a Bachelor of Arts, you need a Bachelor of Accounting. You don't even say that anymore. They just say we need experience and skills in this and that and that and that. I know senior people in different organizations all over the world now that do not have university, polytechnic, or higher education degree. They grew through the ranks, built skills, and they have become C-level executive. I'm not saying don't get degree, because in this part of our world, in this country, degrees still speak, but we're moving out. So we're moving away from that era. So right now is degree plus skill. We are going to get to a space where it will be mostly skill. Your degree is supposed to help you build skills, as a matter of fact. If our educational system is right, while you are learning your 4-year course, your 5-year course, you're supposed to be getting skill that will help you for the job market. But that's not always the situation in some schools. That's a problem we have to deal with. But whilst the school is not giving you, when you're going through the university, through the polytechnic, try to get skills. Do not wait till after you graduate. It might be too late. Opportunities come to learn, take the skills. Opportunity come to volunteer, take the skills. When you're on break, do things so that you build skills. In the tech space and IT space now, people do not ask for degrees anymore. They ask people what they can do, and that one you can see the value immediately. You're working on app, you're working on the people are churning it out, and nobody cares whether you studied computer science or computer engineering or AI. I know many people in the tech space that do not have a background in computer science or computer engineering. People that studied arts and humanities, they built skills, they garnered skills through the years, and they're working in tech space. And this is the reality of the world where we live today. So please get skill, because hiring is based mostly on skill, and technology as well. Technology is evolving and evolving fast. In the accounting space, there are a lot. Sometimes when you go for an interview, they ask you, aside your degree, what ERP, what skills, what tools can you use? Different tools for different organizations. SAP, Oracle, all of that. And that is even changing. So know what is current in the accounting space, what big blue chip companies use, and try to get the skill. Visibility and network, we've talked about that. Know the right people. Think. We have Accounting Yard. There's a platform to get jobs. There's a platform to share opinions. That is how networking starts. If you have the finances and opportunities to attend conferences, many big organizations do big conferences. Aside the ICANN conferences, the CIPM conferences, somebody is in a conference in the tech space, they're inviting global people and local people. Try to get in the room, try to connect with people, leave a mark in the mind of people. When they need somebody, they remember the conversation you've had with them. So it's very important you are visible and you network as you go through your experience. So skills. We cannot overemphasize skills. We talk so much about AI and technology. People are even afraid that AI will replace accountants. And I tell some of my colleagues that's not the truth. It will just change the skills needed in that space. Again, I'll allude to the bank. One of the banks I have an account with, they sent emails to say they are closing some of the branches. Yes, you will not have the brick and mortar rather branches, but there are many people behind the scene powering what we do every day. Some of them are accountants, but they don't need to appear in a building to get their work done or get their job done. They are resolving issue. I said I called somebody online. They connected me to the professionals. They resolved the issue. My app wasn't working. Blah blah blah. So AI will not replace accountants. Accountants will use technology. Accountants who do not use technology will be replaced. So as you get all the certification, as you get all the degree, know what is obtainable in the technology space for accountants, and equip yourself with the skills so that you stay relevant. Now let's go a little on CV and then we'll close here. I spent a lot of time. Then I'll round off with this so that we can move. CV, like I said, CV is a strategic communication tool. Before anybody sees you, they see your CV first. See your CV as a personal advert. For many of us, before we buy products, the advert that we see, it could be on television, it could be on social media, it could be on the road, comes out to mind. Let's say you've not used telephone, for example, you don't have a mobile phone and you want to buy a mobile phone. But let me put it more in perspective. When I was going to buy my first SIM card, I think there was Glow, I think it was V-Mobile it was called, and there was MTN. Okay, I currently use MTN. The only reason I chose MTN was because of the advert I saw. The advert then was really classy, was upscale. It was the old Jerry advert. It was the Princess and Daddy Forgot advert. Then I was still struggling, but I wanted to be those kind of people. And that is why I bought the SIM, because they have given me the impression that if you use this mobile network, you are on your way to becoming the Princess Daddy kind of person or the old Jerry kind of person. There were some other companies that were advertising and they were doing bang, 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 echo and all of that. I didn't want to be like all of those people, and that's an aside. But the truth of the deal is, before you make a decision, the advert sells you, and that's what your CV does for you. Before you even get the opportunity to get into the role, what do people see on your CV? And are they interested in calling you? We're going to be looking at 2 sample CVs on my screen, and then we'll go through to see what can be done differently and what's the difference between the 2 CVs or resume are. Sometimes you hear resume, sometimes you hear CV. Whilst technically they are slightly different, in this part of the world, they mean the same thing. So some organizations will say send me your CV, some organizations will say send me your resume. They mean the same thing. But technically speaking, a CV has more of your academic history because it's tailored towards the academic field. So people that want to become academicians, professors, and so on and so forth, lecturers, or you are looking to research, what you do is a CV. But for job hunts, generally you use a resume. But both of them right now, you know how language evolves, things evolve, language has also evolved. So when people say send in your CV, send in your resume, same thing. For different parts of the world, different countries have different formats to their CV. So also know what the format is. If you're in Nigeria and you're applying for a job in the UK, know what the CV format for the UK market is. If you're in Nigeria, you're applying to North America, like the US and Canada and those regions, know what the format is. Slightly different formats, know what is obtainable, and tailor make your CV to those regions and the roles. It's very important you do that edit. You don't use one CV for all roles. So I'm going to go through this CV quickly. This is a CV for John Okafor. He has his career objective. Many of us have that. He has his educational background, BSc Accounting, University of Nigeria. He had his work experience, was an accountant in ABC Enterprise between 2002 and 24. He has prepared accounts, handled company finances, did bank reconciliation, worked with the team, responsible for payroll. John also listed his skills out, and you can see his hobbies on the CV. This is example 1. Example 2, John again. He has his name on the CV. He has his professional qualification there. This person doesn't have his professional qualification. They said this one, he has it with his name. He has his phone number, his email address, and also has his LinkedIn profile, the URL that could connect anybody that has a CV to his LinkedIn profile. For the example 1, we see career objective, but for this example 2, we see a professional summary. Here he states that he has he's a detail-oriented accounting professional. He put the number of years of experience. He put some of his skills, financial analysis, IFRS compliance, automation, yada, 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 proven ability to reduce error. He then goes ahead to list his core accounting skills, strong skills, financial reporting, GL reconciliation, internal control, so on and so forth. He now goes ahead to list out his digital or technical skills. He knows how to use ERP. He can do data analysis, advanced Excel, etc. And then he lists his experience. So he calls out what he does, monthly preparation of accounts, yada, yada, ensure timely PAYE and all of that. And then lists his education, like the first CV, and then goes ahead to list some of his certifications and relevant trainings he's done. He has his ACA with ICANN. He knows how to do financial modeling and Excel for accountants, and he has BI skill from the training he has, and he listed the level, so beginner to intermediate level, and then goes ahead to list out some of the achievements and puts value to those achievements, like he quantifies them. He said reduce reporting errors by 30%, recognized for improving monthly month-end close efficiency, maybe some of the awards he received, trusted to handle sensitive financial data, and so on and so forth. Quickly, in the comment section, how do you think the CV1 example and CV2 examples differs, and what are the major differences in both CVs or resumes? Quickly in the chat session. Dele, you help me as well, because I can't see the chat now that I'm presentation mode.
CV2 is more detailed, shows the numbers and results. CV1 looks fresher. Someone just says CV2. CV2 is more experienced. CV2 is more detailed. CV1 is shabby. CV2 detailed and more professional. CV2 is more detailed and concise.
Okay.
Explanation in CV2 is more specific and detailed, but CV1 leaves so many room for imaginations and less detailed.
I like that. I like that one. Imagination and let's say. So I'll just take you through some of the not so great things in CV1. The objective is very generic, and that's what you hear many people say. Even when they talk to you about job, they'll say, "Oh, I'm looking for work." You hear things like that, and then you ask them, "What do you want to do?" Just, I beg anything right now, anything. I can say, "Okay," and that's the end. As a matter of fact, that is the end of the conversation. No impression made. Even if opportunity comes, you don't even know how to fit this person. Don't say, "I'm looking for a challenging position in a robotic organization that I can go and improve myself." Even if you are a fresh graduate, you can call out that you are, for example, if you have a first class, it's a good opportunity to call it out. If you have a 2-1, call it out. 2-2, maybe not, but you can say you are a graduate you are an accounting graduate with skills, no experience because it's a fresh graduate. You can say with skills in yada, 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 financial reporting, all of that. You're not saying with experience. There are two different things. Get me right. So you're not telling them you have the experience because probably you do not. But if you have volunteered, maybe you were in your association, maybe accountant association in school, and you were the financial secretary, you built some form of experience there. So you can say, oh, with experience, because whether you did it in your association or you did it in Goldman Sachs, it is experience. So you can put that you have experience. But if you do not have all those opportunities, you can say, oh, you have skill in XYZ, you have your certificate and all of that. So you're not just looking for challenging. Then you could also state the value you are going to add to the organization. Right. So it's very important whether you're a fresh graduate or not. Also, when you are listing your experience, it's important to call out achievements. An achievement do not have to be elaborate. You don't have to be an awardee of the OON from the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If in your school or in your degree, you were on the honors list, for example, you were the best accounting student, even in your first year, even if you're not the overall best, in year 1, you were the best. Call it out. If you were the best in, maybe there's a course called management accounting, one course, call it out. Because at this point, for a fresh graduate, you want to show your prospective employer that you have value, you are equipped to excel. So all of those things, call it out. If you were head boy in, let's say, late secondary school, and this is your first job, you can call it out because it shows that you can take on leadership responsibility. And if you were a head boy and you did some things and you put in place some initiative, sometimes you can call all those things out. Because this is like a fresh graduate. You want to give all the reasons to your potential employer that you have that. But if you're experienced, on the other hand, it's easier. You want to write that you have the skill and the experience and things you have done. You want to also state the sectors you have worked in and also say what you can do for the business. List out the accounting skills you have and list out the non-tech accounting, maybe technical or soft skills you have. Put numbers to title. Be clear about your job title is very, very, very important. The first CV, probably that's what many CVs will look like. And then the HR people will just kick out the CV. Or even if they are not kicking out individually, the individual CVs will not be made qualified by the ERP. So it's very important. Why is CV2 better? It is clear and it has value-driven summary. This person is a detailed-oriented accounting professional. Let's say it's a fresh graduate and he doesn't have that experience. You can still say you are a detailed-oriented accounting professional with skills, not with experience. Now, with skills, and you can list some of the things you have learned, maybe through some of the trainings you have attended and all of that. And then you can list out some of your technical skill. You know how to use SAP, you know how to use Power BI and all of that. And then call out your achievements with figures. So you have reduced errors, you have met deadline of turning in your report on by the third day, the new month. You reduce maybe FIRS, what's it called? Fine, you have to pay TRS by doing some proper audits with your tax and all of that. All of those things is very important. And like I said earlier, do not have one CV for all roles. Review it, edit it in line with the job or role you are reporting for. Let's leave this. Let's leave this and all of that. We talked about this again. I'll just run through. LinkedIn is your second CV. That's a given. Create a compelling LinkedIn profile. Recruiters search daily. Your profile also on LinkedIn must show your skills and must show your direction. This direction is very critical. Sometimes you pick some CVs. I'll do a bit on this. You pick some CVs or you go on some LinkedIn profile. And you see somebody that has been HR manager. He has been accountant. He has been graphic designer. He has sold shoe. The truth is, people have hustled. But we don't have to see all of the confusing hustling in your CV. Have a direction. Even if you have done everything, you want to pick out things from your CV. My very first role or job I did, I was more or less, it was an office assistant role because it was the time I did it between secondary school and uni. So I literally did everything. I did everything. But when I was tailoring my CV for my first role, I called out the phrase to say I was admin assistant and listed, of all the things I did, I listed things that put me on the direction of HR and admin assistant role. So if I prepared meeting rooms, is admin work, I listed that. If I helped my boss buy food, I did not list it because nobody needs to know that. I prepared documents for recruitment for senior executive. I listed that because that was in line with HR and admin role. Did I do school runs for my boss? If I did that, I wouldn't need to put it on my CV because it just makes your CV and your LinkedIn profile look like you do not have any direction. So if you have even done all of those things or many things, you've hustled a lot, pick out the relevant bits and call that out in your CV and your LinkedIn profile so that your CV has a direction. So it's not looking like all over the place. Because somebody reaches out and says, oh, what do I want to do? 2 years you were accountant, 2 years you were HR, 2 years you were PA, 2 years you sold. So it just all over the place. So it's very important that your CV shows skills and shows direction. And then engage on LinkedIn. The truth is a lot of eye service or a lot of nuisance goes on LinkedIn right now. But the professionals still sift through those noise, through those plenty jamboree happening to see people that really have depth and are going to offer value. So you don't have to be a nuisance by posting every day. But when you see topics that are of interest to you, you can give your 2 cents, make comments. Sometimes you don't even need to say something. You can just like and reshare if it resonates with you. Just have that top of the mind visibility and awareness so that people will remember you when opportunities come in the accounting space. So this is a call to action. We have heard all of this. What are we supposed to be doing in 2026? More than anything else, even if you have some other accounting skills or technical, you know how to use technical tool, give yourself a goal to learn one more. Check what is obtainable now in the space and learn. There are different opportunities. Accounting Yard is there to support. If you don't know how to go about it, reach out to Accounting Yard. I'm sure we'll put you on the right track. Improve your Excel and data skill. Analysis. Business leaders do not want only numbers now. What is the number saying? We have seen this. What is the insight? What can we do with the insights to drive our business? So learn those skills. It's very important and to help you succeed. If you have not, create a LinkedIn profile. Revamp your LinkedIn profile. Build your LinkedIn presence. Very important. Like I said, many recruiters, many organizations are not advertising for roles anymore. They are just looking out to reach out to people that have the skills. It helps them, it saves them time, and they put their time to better use and gain experience. If you're interested in a field and you have not had the opportunity to work in that field, gain experience through volunteer opportunities. Reach out to that uncle that has a business. Do pro bono role to say, oh, I can help you look at your book. This year, there's a lot of talk around taxation. You can help that person that has a small business put their books in order. When they have big opportunity, to reach out to you, even if you did, even though you did it for them for free. So get that experience, whether it's paid or unpaid. Nobody cares. In your CV, nobody will ask you, this job you did were you paid for it? Especially when you've had experience in the past. The most relevant, if people that haven't asked for your salary or recent pay, they'll probably ask you for the most recent one. They won't ask you for the ones down the CV. So if you have volunteered maybe 5 years ago to get skill, nobody will go back to that. They'll just probably ask you for your most recent. That's if they ask. Many people don't even ask you for what you currently earn anymore, because there's a budget for the role. And then if you have value, you're the one even dictating how much you want. Sometimes I've been in an interview, you see somebody that has value. A company has a budget for a role, and because they see the value this person will bring, they are ready to stretch that budget, be that person, do all of this, and this 2026 will be a great year for all of us. Your certificate will get you noticed, but your skills will give you visibility, and you have to change your mindset when it comes to getting the job. Build the confidence, tailor your CV. Always look to edit your CV to mirror the role that you're applying for, and be ready to take on that responsibility. When you get the interview, be confident. The worst that can happen is they'll tell you no, and it's just a redirection to the better opportunities that will come in the future. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, we'll take at this point. Thanks, Zili.
All right. Thanks, Emeka. I think that's super. I think I'm charged for this 2026, right? To that $1 million job. Here I go. All right.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of questions. I know we are behind time, or how do you see that, right? And I know that people have their mindset towards Nigeria's match by 5 p.m. So I can imagine what's going on to a lot of people's mind right now. But I'll quickly run through some of the questions that I already have right now. So one question was, an accountant who also plays the role of an HR, what are the best certification can one take to match up? Right. I don't know if it's match up from the HR perspective or from the accounting perspective. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we take them as they come or put them all together?
No, let's take it. So I'm just
Okay.
going to 5 because we need to move on to the next section. So yeah.
Quickly. So when I was going through my slides, I talked about multi-skilling. And I'll give you a real life situation. I have a friend, he works for an NGO. He came in as a finance person, accountant, but now he's doubling as the HR person. And he's getting the skills required. So he reached out to me to say, what skills can he get in the HR space to be better positioned to grow in the role? And for some organizations, they even combine HR and admin, HR and finance together. Let's say head of HR and finance. The truth is, there are skills needed in the accounting space and there are skills needed in the HR space. There are hard skills and there are soft skills. The certifying body for HR in Nigeria right now is CIPM. If you can, it helps, because for many HR roles now, especially if you want to get into senior level, they ask you for that qualification or certification rather with a professional body. Locally, it's CIPM. Globally, you have CIPD, you have GPHR and SPHR. Right? Different. If you can do that, fine. But more than anything else, analysis is very important. Data is also important in the HR space. And also using tools like AI to drive efficiency is very important. So there are pillars for HR. If you are building skill, if you are going to be a generalist, so in HR, what we call generalism, we are doing a bit of everything in HR and they are specialist role. So if you are going to be a generalist, you have to go through all the HR pillars. So there's talent management that has to do recruitment and all of that. There's payroll and compensation, which also slightly sits with finance as well, because there's this handshake between finance and HR. Know what works with the labor law, minimum wage, what all the deductions will be, NHF, pension, tax, have that skill. Even the whole reward management, when it comes to benchmark, because it's not subjective when you get a role. This is a role. How do you evaluate the role to know that this role is sitting at this level in the organization and what the benchmark salary would be? That's for compensation and benefit. Also know when it comes to succession plan, all of that. So you get skills in this space and you can take it one after the other. And there are short or small bite learning opportunities, both on LinkedIn and other platforms for you to build those skills. So the first thing is to check the skills you need in HR space, evaluate yourself where you are on those skills, take them one step at a time. You can't learn everything in a short time. You can say, you can start with what is crucial about your organization. If you are big on recruitment in your organization, you want to start with recruitment and how to get recruitment right and effective. If you have, if you are big on L&D, you want to see how to objectively do learning and development, that's training. If you are looking to drive succession planning in your organization, you get skills. There are learnings that can help you, and then you grow on that in that line. And then whilst you're doing that, also do your enrollment with CIPM and try to get your certification. And you can get your certification right now in 1 year because they do a lot of exams in the year. Unlike those days where you have to do only 2 diets, February and August. Now I think they do exams almost every 2 months. And depending on where you have your first degree, you can skip some levels and you can start from, I think, intermediate. So if you have some degree in finance or HR, and then you can get it done in 1 year. It's a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of sacrifice, but it is doable. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Emeka. I know there's a lot of questions and I know we're pressed with time, right? So please advise me, should I go for a new job to get increase in salary, or should I stay my current employment for loyalty?
Interesting. I will not answer that question and tell you what to do. That is solely your decision, but I'll tell you what I know with both scenarios. Different organizations have their different policies when it comes to promotion. I know organization, when you get promoted, you get a percentage salary increase, and they don't do more than that. If you know that, it equips you to make a better decision. Also, on the other hand, rather, when people move, especially when they have value to add, they can get a big jump in salary review. So you can change jobs and get as much as 100% in salary review. That's possible. You can even get as much as 200. It's doable. But rarely would you have even a 50% salary increase if you get a promotion in your organization. So beyond salary, what else are you looking out for? Salary and money is important, don't get me wrong, but culture is very important. I know somebody, and I've had experience, that have left a very good paying job, took a salary cut because of mental health issues. So when you are looking for that big salary and big money, ask yourself some other questions. What is important for you? Do they have other benefits? Some people, they give you all the money, but they don't have HMO, no growth opportunities, no L&D opportunities. But some organization, you may not have all the salary in your pocket, but you can see opportunities for growth. You can see learning and exposure. Your work-life balance is sane. You can work from home. The culture is good. You can approach your line manager and speak with them without having fear. Some organizations, they pay you, but if your line manager doesn't like you, the next thing, you're out of the business. So there's a balance. Money is good. Know what works for your organization, what's obtainable outside with what I've given you, know what your salary increase percentage for your organization, know that you can get 100%, 200, even 500, depending on how you place yourself and the value you bring to your organization. But other things are equally important, like culture, what the organizations do, and the value you bring to those organizations. In the end, it's your decision to make.
All right, thank you. The problem I even have a lot of questions, right? So let me take whose hands are up, right? Just take 1 or 2 questions from people's hands. And so I want to just apologize in advance. I wish you could answer all the questions, but if we just focus on this, then we can even do the tax side, right? So let me start with Ayomide. Hi, Ayomide.
Hello, good afternoon,
Yeah,
good
please
evening.
kindly make your questions very brief so that we can answer. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so very much for this session. So my question is that I am very skilled, or well, let me just say that I am skilled and highly skilled in financial modeling, in building financial models. And next month I am having the AFM exam, and this is what prompted me to register for the AFM exam. So my question is, how can I, because I hear people say that they usually get financial modeling gig, and they used to make a whole lot of money there. So this is my own question. How can I, because we transfer these skills be translated into making lots of money, so getting gigs, so that at least I can build financial model for startups. So I need their guidance. That's just it.
All right.
Thank you.
So I'll take that question. So 1, I'll say reach out to me, right? Chat me privately and we can talk about it. 2 is just make people know that you do it, right? So for example, simple write-ups around financial modeling on LinkedIn, right? Just talking about some of the key things around modeling so that people can know that, oh, this person is skilled in this stuff. Just make people be aware about it. You can actually create a YouTube channel where you are talking about modeling and where you just demonstrate some of the works you've done on financial modeling, right? And you share those on your WhatsApp status, share on LinkedIn, and that way people would know. And gradually with time, people start engaging you around it. But you can just chat me after that, and we can talk about how to get gigs for you in financial modeling. All right, Lydia. Hi, Lydia. Hi, Lydia. Lydia, if you're talking, we can't hear you. Right. Hi, Ahmed.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm very grateful.
Mhm.
My question is, I presently work as an accountant in a pharmaceutical company. Though it's an indigenous company and it's a one-man business. So I took over from an accountant hand over property before leaving. So I find it difficult for me to work effectively as an accountant that I am. So in that kind of situation, what do you think I can do that can make me to excel more in that position, and that will probably um, give me a higher pay at the end of the month?
Okay, so if I get it correctly, there was no proper handover in your current role, and it's impacting your
Yes,
ability to perform on the role, and you want to be able to still
yes,
deliver, and you want to get high
yes,
and better, right?
yes,
So
yes.
one of the key steps is try to re-establish a connection with the person that exited, right?
Okay,
And be very open to making the extra effort, right? So, for example, maybe saying, "Oh, I'm available to see you over the weekend," right? And be
okay,
available at the time that it feels more convenient to handle. That's one. Two is if you are not the only accountant in that organization, interact with the other accountant to better understand how the person that you took over the responsibility and interact with other people. If it's not just only the accountant, also interact with other people outside finance that interacts with, right, to understand what they do. Now, if you have an auditor, also interact with the auditor. So that way you're basically building knowledge from all the people that the guy must have interacted with before you join it, right? Clearly explain to whoever you are reporting to that, oh, this is a challenge you're currently facing, so that the expectation is clear that there's a gap in the information available, and gradually take the challenges piecemeal by piecemeal. One of the early places you can start with is if you have the last management account, start from there, right? And review the
okay,
trial
okay,
balance gradually and with schedules, right? Unfortunately, I cannot go into more details of how you potentially handle that, but that could potentially help you in establishing yourself. There's a lot, right? It's just I cannot tell you everything within the short space. It requires a lot longer engagement. But those are the points you could start with, right? In terms of earning better pay, you need to understand what is the biggest thing or what are the key challenges that the business is hoping to solve, right? And see how you could solve those specific challenges given your knowledge and skill sets, right? And that's the best way to demonstrate that you're adding value to the business. Once you're able to demonstrate that you can add value to the business, you have a high potential of the business valuing and saying, oh, do you want to increase this guy's salary because he's performing so well? Yeah.
thank you so much. I really appreciate.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
if I can add in a few seconds. Also, you had this challenge. It'd be nice for you to put structure in place so that people coming after you do not have the challenge. So you want to maybe, for example, set up a SharePoint folder and drop information there and all of those so that after you leave, it will be easy for somebody to pick on those documents and not have the same challenge or challenges you're experiencing currently. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nico. So there are a lot of hands up, right? Unfortunately, we need to move to the tax section, right? And I will just plead with those who have their hands up that I don't know how we want to do it. It's like if otherwise we only do the HR section, right? There's a lot that could actually engage on. So yeah, Dio. Hi, Dio.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
Dele, I mean,
Yeah. So Dio. So the way we would most likely take the tax section is I would basically just um drop a few questions, right? Yeah, and we can pick it up from there. Uh, yeah, let me see. Slideshow. All right. I know we've not mentioned this before, but let's go back. Yeah. Yeah, let's go to so before we start the start section, two key things I would like to just mention. One is now basically accounting yard organizes training, right? And we have a training calendar for the whole of 2026, right? And those trainings are specifically tailored to be able to improve your knowledge and skill set. Linked to the new tax act, we have a learning platform that has a recorded version of a training that I've taken that talks about the new tax act. If you want to quickly just get abreast of it as an accountant, you can take that training. And during our future trainings, we'll definitely talk a lot into the new tax act, right? And that could definitely help you. Now, in terms of financial reporting, we're creating a financial reporting WhatsApp group. And the idea is we notice that there's a gap in financial reporting knowledge, right? And the idea is to basically have a knowledge sharing group that improves specifically around financial reporting. So we're building the next set of finance managers or financial reporting accountants or financial analysts, right? So that can improve their reporting skill sets. And basically, this group is for free, right? And it's just there to be able to build the next set of very sound, robust financial reporting accountant. If it's something you're interested in, feel free to reach out. And as we establish it, just be aware that we have this group that we're creating. It's a fresh group that never been done before. And we are hoping to be able to build the capacity of people around financial reporting for free. Yeah. So the first question I want to just comment is, and Dio, you could just the new tax act, right? How does the repeal of the legacy laws like CETA and PITA into the unified Nigerian tax act change the day-to-day filing routine for a mid-sized company? Dio?
All right. Thank you. Yes, so it's no more a news that we have a new tax law. And yes, that has repealed about 30 different tax laws that we have prior to 2026. And yeah, a lot of changes has come into the new tax law. Then when we talk of a mid-sized company, we'll look at maybe the MNEs. And yeah, so for medium-sized companies, so what they need to do, yes, there is exemption. In fact, I call this law the law that saves the poor. And because the target is to take more from he that have than focusing on the low income earner. So for the MNEs, yes, they have more exemptions to claim in terms of company income tax. Yes, medium-sized companies or small companies rather, because companies are definitely divided into two now. It's either you are small or you are big. So to say you are a small company, it means that you are a company whose turnover is less than 100 million and net assets is less than 250 million and fixed assets is less than 250 million. So the two must agree. So you must meet the revenue threshold and the asset threshold. So once you are a small company, then it means that you are not liable to company income tax, and also you are not liable to VAT. It means that you are not to be charged to charge VAT. However, you are subject to pay VAT on your expenses. So things will change. Yes, even as small companies, yes, you are not liable to charge VAT, you are not liable to pay company income tax, but you must ensure you pay VAT on your expenses. And where your vendors has failed to charge VAT, probably because you also patronize a small company, then in this regard, you are also liable to self-charge. This is what most people believe, that as a small company, I have nothing to do with VAT. That's why I'm saying it here, that even as a medium-sized, as a small company, you are only not liable to charge VAT, but you're liable to pay VAT on your expenses. And where your vendor has failed to charge you, then you must ensure you self-charge yourself. Then for your staff, trying to ensure you deduct the correct payee from their income. The rate has changed, which everybody knows the new rates. So you must ensure that yes, you deduct the right payee from their income, and majorly VAT. Ensure you pay your VAT as is being charged on the invoice. And So before you can pay VAT, one thing you must need to do, because now everyone wants to charge VAT, then what you need to do is you must ensure that, yes, the person that you are paying VAT to give you a vatable invoice. What makes an invoice to be vatable means that that invoice must have TIN on it. So where you receive an invoice from one Segun and Co Enterprises and there is no VAT on the invoice, I will advise you don't pay VAT to such a person, because such vendor may not be registered. So for you to pay VAT to anyone, ensure that that person has VAT on his invoice. And whatever VAT you pay now can be claimed as input. So as far as you are rendering a vatable product, once you pay VAT, you can easily claim your VAT as input. So you cannot claim VAT on both services and fixed assets. So, but for financial companies, then you can, it's a bit trickish. But for small firms, that is just what you need to do. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dai. That's quite helpful. I like the scenario you painted around ensuring that whoever you're dealing with provides a vatable invoice, right? And one funny thing I've noticed, right, as you're dealing with SMEs, I think because of misinformation, some people just want to charge VAT, right? So I'm just wondering, how do we want to, when I want to just procure something from a Instagram vendor and he charges me VAT, right? And just ensuring that he's actually charging VAT to remit. Is there anything as just a regular Nigerian we can do about it?
Yeah, I actually mentioned that, and that's why I said for every invoice you want to pay, at least for VAT, you must ensure the vendor provides an invoice that has TIN. So, ordinarily on your invoice, you have your name, you have your address, phone number, email. Also, the vendor must also have his TIN on the invoice. Because now everyone is saying, oh, we must charge VAT. So everybody wants to collect VAT. Even if Dayo Olusoya in his own name renders the professional service, he now want to charge VAT. But it's not a registered name. So how can he charge VAT? So that is why before you can pay anybody VAT, ensure you receive a vatable invoice. That's an invoice that has TIN on it.
Okay, I agree with you, right? And thanks for sharing that. All right. Okay. So next question, right? So the Act introduces a 20% rent relief, right? Capped at 500,000. What specific documents must an accountant collect from employees to validly claim this?
Yeah, so I must say that we are also expecting a circular from the various tax authorities as regards the application of rent relief allowance. However, the law specifies that you should be able to provide your rent receipts, because that's the evidence that you get from your landlord, rent receipts. As well, you can also provide rent agreements. But we all know that even most of these landlords don't issue agreements on a yearly basis. You only get agreement from the first day you enter the house. Subsequently, you get receipts. So the rent receipt is the evidence you will need to provide. So as somebody asks that, for instance, for myself, I paid rent and the landlord only acknowledged the payment via WhatsApp group, then that will become an issue. So it means that going forward, we need to ensure we get receipts from our landlord. Thank you.
All right. Now, so relating to effective tax rate, right? So you have an organization. How do you calculate the 15% minimum effective tax rate for companies with a turnover of over 50 billion?
Yes, so this has been the computation of the minimum effective tax rate has been expunged from the new released gazetted copy. And what that means is that it is now for the tax authority, which is the Nigeria Revenue Service, to determine how to compute the effective tax rate. So because of that, I won't tell you the whatever computation or how to determine it, which is based on the previous gazetted copy. So because we have to leave that to NRS, they will come up with a circular, and part of it will be how to determine effective tax rates.
All right, that's fine. Now, for companies in agriculture, what are the specific requirements to maintain the 5-year tax holiday status?
Yeah, so for companies in agriculture, as far as you are in primary agriculture, fishing, farming, forest, yes, you are exempted from CIT for the first 5 years of business. So the only thing is that they are into primary agriculture. So once you're into primary agriculture, automatically you are exempted from CIT for the first 5 years. However, if you have been in business prior to the commencement of this act and you're already over 5 years, it means that you will start paying CIT. You will start paying company income tax. But if you are not up to 5 years, then you have the right to claim the remaining years that will make you to be 5 years. So if you're already 3 years, it means that you have 2026 and 2027, you are exempted from CIT. Thank you.
All right. So just to take a little pause, right? And for those who are interested in training by accounting yard, and this basically our training calendar for the year. We'll be starting the first training, which is incomplete records, come 28th of February. And the idea is we know that a lot of businesses have issues with incomplete records, right? So basically the idea of building an appropriate accounting system and also dealing with how to challenges linked to incomplete record, we'll be starting with that. Then move on to manual accounts, then we'll do cash flow management, and like that, right? So these are the various training we have planned for the year, and feel free to reach out. And you can basically check our website to actually get a copy of the calendar, right? So just visit accountingyard.com, right? Under our programs or learnings, you'll see the training calendar for the year. Yeah. So like I said, these are the website link. So this is the learning management platform where you can actually learn or pre-recorded courses if you want one on the go, and if you want to basically visit one of the learnings or training calendar, you can actually visit this link. Yeah. Now we'll pause and give room for people to ask questions because I think there's a lot of questions in the group. Yeah, why I also share it. So if you have, let me see, hands are up. Okay, Lydia still has a hand. I don't know if it's new hands or old hands. But let's try Lydia. Hi, Lydia. Ha, plenty hands. Hi, Lydia. Hello, Lydia. Okay, cannot hear Lydia. So let's go to Taiwo. Hi, Taiwo. Hello, Taiwo.
Okay.
Hello, Taiwo.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Taiwo.
Hello.
Yeah, I can
Good
hear you loud
evening.
and clear. Yeah, good evening.
Okay. So when Mr. Dayo was talking the other time, he said when a vendor sent an invoice and the vendor did not charge VAT, we should self-charge. What if the vendor does not provide his thing inside on the invoice? Because I have some company now, they'll say I'm a small company, I'm not supposed to charge VAT. So when I buy something from such vendor and there is no thing on the invoice, should I still self-charge? Who am I paying it to? And the last question is about this tax ID. Can we use the tax ID in replace of the PIN number? Thank you.
All right, so Dayo, I don't know if you heard the question. One is around if vendor supplies an invoice that doesn't have VAT and doesn't provide things. And he said that, you mentioned that we should self-charge.
Okay. Okay, so for self-charge, yes. So if you patronize a company and the company failed to charge VAT, how do you know the company is a small company? This is a big question I've been asking everyone that asked me that this person has charged me VAT and is a small company. How do you identify a small company? That is why the law says that it is only a person that knows himself as a small company that should not charge VAT. But when you patronize anybody and the person did not charge you VAT, probably because it's a small company, then you should self-charge yourself the VAT and remit. Yes, everybody is expected to be a registered person. But where somebody has not charged you VAT because he is not a registered person, then what you need to do is self-charge yourself and you remit the VAT. While you are remitting, you remit it on tax promise. Yes, tax promise might change. They are working on that. There's probably that there will be changes in the platform NRS is using for filing returns. But currently, we still have tax promise. So on tax promise, you are filing that self-charge VAT as withholding VAT. So the vendor did not have TIN. All you need to do is to put a 0 in place of TIN. The first responsibility is your compliance responsibility. You must self-charge and file. So where there is no TIN, put a 0 and file. Then whatever self-charge VAT that you have filed, you can now claim it as input VAT. Because it's VAT on your expenses. So you can claim it as input VAT once you are dealing with, once what product you are selling is VATable products. Then the issue of, can we use tax ID in place of TIN? What they're actually working on is to migrate or to have a unified tax ID for everybody. So the same tax ID you will use for Lagos State is the same tax ID you will use for Ogun State, the same tax ID that you will use for Lagos State. That is where we are going. Are we there now? No. So the circulars that we're expecting will also clarify on the use of tax ID. Yes, I understand that a particular state is already in, people are filing PAYE annual returns now. And a particular state is already saying that people should migrate to the new tax ID. Yes, these are some of the things that will come up. So we still expect circulars from the tax authorities on the use of tax ID. But for now, let's continue to use our TIN, which ends with 001 on anything we are doing for now. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dayo. So someone said that, is there also a recent update on trying to synchronize LRS and FRS? How does it affect individuals who want to remit to the states before now? I know you kind of addressed it, but it's just nice to address this specifically.
So FIRS has been renamed to NRS. They are still at the federal level, while states is still at the state level. They are not going to merge them together. However, the tax ID that we are getting now might be what we'll be using for NRS and as well for SRS. So anywhere you are paying your tax, you are just having a unified tax ID. That is where we are going. But we are yet to migrate. We are yet to migrate. So for me, for Lagos State now, we still use our PAYE ID, which is N something something. But should we go and get our new tax ID? Yes, just get your tax ID. But am I using it for anything now? No. Hold on the usage will be advised. Thank you.
All right. Oyewumi. Hi, Oyewumi. Hello, Oyewumi. Okay, no response.
For this session, my question is mainly on one operating in a free trade zone. What taxes should one operating in that zone remit? And how is it different from one in other areas? Thank you.
So free trade zone is still not liable to tax. Yes, if we are in free trade zone, we are still not liable to tax, either VAT or company income tax. But if you are a member of a multinational companies in the free trade zone and your effective tax rate is not up to 15%, then you'll be liable to a top-up tax, because even in free trade, we now call them priority sectors now. So even people in the free trade zone, yes, you are supposed to be filing tax returns every year. And when you're filing that your returns, you're expected to compute your tax and do everything, but you are not paying it. That's the advantage they are getting. So that tax that you have computed, if it is less than 15%, and you are a member of multinational companies, then you will be liable to a top-up tax. So let's assume that you have done your tax and your effective tax rate is 13%. then you'll be liable to pay additional 2%, which is the top-up tax. So even though you are in free trade zone, you must ensure your effective tax rate for a multinational company in free trade zone must not be less than 15%. Apart from that, they are still exempted from taxes. Thank you.
All right. Hi, Fumi. Hello, Fumi.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Thanks for this opportunity. So my question is in two places. So the first one is based on, he has not talked about it, but I was in his class sometimes early in December. So I just want to ask as concerning pay, and my question is that we heard that I read it online that people that are excluded from PAYE 2 are also people that earn like 120 as their gross 1.2 as their gross income. I want to confirm that if they are actually excluded, if they are exempted 1.2 gross income. That's number one. Then number two, I also want to ask as regards withholding tax. I want to ask for small companies like for these guys that has team, but they don't have a company, like they have a tax identification number, but they don't have a company business name or a limited company. But we engage them, maybe they do repairs for us and stuff like that. Are we supposed to also charge them withholding tax? That's number one. And number two, for a construction company, how do we charge for a construction company that engages people to work for them? How are they supposed to charge their withholding tax on maybe getting cement and getting laborers to work for them? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay. Few minutes.
Okay, Daya.
All right. Okay. So for PAYE, is 2.5 million exempted from tax? No. So it's an analysis that somebody did to say, oh, if you are earning 1.2 million, you are also not liable to tax. So that analysis is that on the first 800,000 taxable income, you are not liable to tax. Then you will also not be liable to tax on your rent relief allowance, which is 20% of your rent or maximum of 500,000. So somebody has done one mathematics and say, oh, if my rent is not less than 2.5 million, it means that I can claim 500,000. Then I also have 800. Adding it together, you have about 1.3 to be exempted from tax. But in the real sense, somebody that earns 800,000 per month, per annum, can such a person be paying house rent of 2.5 million in a year? So that's why I don't agree with them when they say that 1.2 million is exempted from tax. It's a lie. What is exempted from tax is anybody that earns minimum wage. So when you earn minimum wage, and minimum wage in Nigeria still remains 70,000 naira times 12, 840. So meaning that if you earn minimum wage, you don't pay tax at all. But if you earn above minimum wage, then you are exempted, you are taxed at zero on your first 800,000 taxable income. So that is that clarity. Then for individuals that are not business name, maybe like Dayo Olusoya in his own name, who has worked for you in your company, can you deduct withholding tax? Yes. If I render a professional service to your organizations in my own name, you are to deduct withholding tax from me. And the law even says that if I fail to provide my taxpayer ID, you should ensure you double the rate you are deducting from. So if the rate is 5%, because you have asked for my tax ID or my TIN or my payer ID and I fail to release it, then you will double the rate you are charging me. And when you are remitting, you will put a zero as my tax ID for you to be able to remit. So where you fail to double the rate and you did not provide the tax ID, during subsequent audits, you will be liable to pay the additional rates that is due on that transaction. Then we are in construction, we engage plumber, we engage all these. So when you engage plumber, you engage all those bricklayers and all these other guys. Some of them, they might be your staff that you pay per job. While some of them might be on commission. Anytime there is work, you call him. If Jimo is not around, you call Daily. If Jimo is not around, you call Lamidi to ensure that the work is done. Then, because they are not your staff, they are on a contract, then what you need to do is to ensure you deduct withholding tax from their money before you pay them. It is compulsory. So those guys, if they are your staff, payee. If they are not your staff, you deduct withholding tax from their professional fee and not the material money. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right. So let's take some of the questions from the slide, right? So, Dio, question. What major mindset shift should the accountant adopt under the new tax acts, right?
Okay, so you see, accountant these days, yes, we have much work to do. Because as I was discussing with someone yesterday, we are discussing on this issue of self-charge. And we are now like, oh, how do we do it in practice? And I said, yes, as an accountant, you may need to create another ledger head that is called maybe VAT deducted at source or reverse VAT, because postings have to go into it. So as an accountant, you just need to believe that yes, this tax law has come to stay, and you must ensure your compliance level 100%. Compliance level 100%. And one of them, the major one that is the killer of all, is the VAT. And that's why I keep repeating VAT. Because where an expenses is liable to VAT and you fail to pay VAT on that expenses, it is there in the law that such expenses will not be allowed for tax purpose. It means that in your CIT, you will not be able to claim that expenses as allowable expenses. So as an accountant, what mindset should you adopt is just be open and ensure you comply 100% to this new law. So that's what I will advise. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thanks for that. Now, which compliance area, okay, basically address this one. I think VAT indirectly. Which compliance area will trigger the most penalties in 2026?
VAT 100%.
So we need to pay close attention to VAT. So let's take some questions. I see a lot of hands, right? I hope we'll be able to get through the hands. Let's hear from Ayeni. Hi, Ayeni.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Yeah, straight to the point.
Thank you for this opportunity. I want to ask, like most people have been asking me, most of the employees that are already living in their own personal house, and maybe by the time you check their pay self, is not up to or more than what other people that will be getting rent relief get. So how do those people claim rent allowance in this current law? That is number one. Then number two
sorry. I missed that. Sorry. I missed that.
I'm saying that as an accountant and you have some employee in your company and they're already living in their own personal house built by their own house, not like mortgage. It's not like mortgage. Yes, it's not mortgage, but how will they be able to claim this rent leave, taking into consideration that other people that are not even earning, they are not earning more than them, it's just that they have struggled early to get their own house. How will they be able to claim this rent relief? That is number one. Then the second one is the issue of a communication of this tax law with your company. Like your employer was saying, okay, so person is, you don't charge withholding tax from him. Like which kind of work, what is the range of work that you give that you can charge withholding tax? Like you talk of plumbing, normal maintenance or wages that you pay people. Is there a range? Maybe if the person's money, maybe by the time you had it in a week or in a month, it's not more than, say that's 60,000 or 50,000. Must you charge withholding tax on them? Thank you. That's what I'm asking.
Okay, so for those of us that managed to build one-room apartments last year, let's say we managed to build one-room apartment in one village while you are working in urban area, I will say congratulations. Even the one-room apartment, there is no toilet, you are using short put. Congratulations. You are already a landlord. The rent relief allowance is not for you. It is for those of us that are still paying rent. So we can be on the same salary level, but we will not be paying the same tax if you are a landlord and I am still a tenant. The rent relief alone will make us to be paying different taxes. So that answered that question. Then what range should we charge VAT withholding tax on? There is no range, my brother. Everybody is liable to withholding tax. Everybody is liable to withholding tax. So there is no range for withholding tax. Once you do transaction with somebody, even though it is big, it is an artisan, and the tax, the liability is what's it called? Is 100 naira. You are liable to charge VAT on that transaction. I mean, you're liable to withhold tax on that transaction, irrespective of the amount. It is only a small company that is exempted from charging VAT. It's only a small company that is exempted from charging, withholding tax. And the exemption is this: they must ensure that the the vendor has TIN, and the volume of transaction is not up to 2 million naira in a month. Apart from that, no exemption. Anybody you transact with and you need to withhold, you must ensure you withhold. Either the person has tax ID or not. Thank you. All right, the next question.
I just realized I was muted. I said Nigeria's match today, so I'm sure a lot of people are very interested in watching Nigeria's match. So hi, Ikechukwu. Hello, Ikechukwu. And Kingsley Uche, you can be warming up. Hi, Ikechukwu. Ikechukwu is not responding. So Kingsley. Hello, Kingsley.
Yes, thank you very much. So my own concern is, so the main reference to deal with any vendor, whether goods or services, is TIN, not really CAC.
Yes. No, it's TIN. They must
Thank
be
you very
registered.
much.
They must
Thank you.
If you patronize somebody that is not registered, you are even liable to liability. I think a 5 million liability or so. In this,
So in other words, TIN is the main reference, not CAC.
Is the TIN.
Okay, so just to be clear, just to put some context into this stuff, right? And now, if the reason why they talk about CAC and they also talk about NIN is two things. If you're a corporate organization in Nigeria, right, the fact is that once you're in existence, where you register is with CAC. If you're an individual, what guarantees that you exist in Nigeria is having NIN. So what the tax authority is basically doing is that, what is the simplest way to ensure that everybody who exists in Nigeria, either as a corporate entity or as an individual, can be registered for tax purpose? So what they say, they said, okay, let's use the database for CAC and let's use the database for NIN. That way we can guarantee that anybody who is in existence, right, can get a tax ID, because in actual sense, everybody, whether individual or corporate, should have a tax ID. And that is why you see that the JRB, right, portal says, okay, to get your tax ID, right, use your what? Your CAC, either your RC number or your BN number. And for individual, use your NIN. And that's the reason why they mention those numbers. Just to be clear, tax ID will replace your TIN that you currently use. That's the long-term goal. Because what they want to do is harmonize your various means of identification. Because right now, if, for example, your TIN is FRS, your PAYE, for example, is Lagos, or your TIN in another state is different. But if you get your tax ID, once the harmonization across the various tax authorities is completed, it means that if you go to Ogun State and you want to get your tax record with your tax ID, you can get your tax record. If you go to Kaduna and you want your tax record, with your tax ID, you can get your record. But right now, with your TIN, you cannot do that. You have to use a different means of identification at various levels. And that's the ultimate long-term goal of this tax ID that is coming into play. Once the harmonization process is completed, what the JRB is doing right now is linking the various tax authorities with the NRS so that there's unification of means of identification and the unification of kind of records across board, right? So right now that process is still ongoing, and that is why people are still using TIN and using your PAYE, whatever means of identification for various tax authorities has been used. But once the harmonization process is completed, right, everybody will transition to tax ID. That process is still ongoing, but you need to understand that that is the ultimate goal of where the tax authority, whether from a JRB standpoint or from NRS standpoint or your various state tax authority standpoint.
Yeah, thank you, Denny.
Okay, I think Ike, Joshua, let's quickly answer your question. Ikechukwu Joshua. Hi.
Good evening, Prof.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, so my question is to Mr. Dial. So I just want to know if there's any... Hello? Can you hear me?
We're with you.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to know if there's a mechanism that is in place in a situation where a client deducts withholding tax and then refuse to remit. And then when you ask for evidence of remittance, he refused to give it to you. And so I just want to know if there's any mechanism, how best do we resolve this issue around the withholding tax deduction, not be remitted?
All right. Yes. If you are aware, there is a withholding tax regulations 2024 that was released that became effective in January 2025. That became effective in 2025. And in that, it was categorically stated that for anyone that withhold tax, you must issue a receipt in form of credit notes to the person you withhold tax from. So if at this point somebody still withhold tax and fail to pay, then there is a big issue. You can escalate it to the tax authority when you are certain that the person did not remit. You can write the tax authority to know that, because the essence of the withholding tax is it to reduce your tax. It is an advance payment of tax. So if somebody has withheld tax from you, fail to pay your money in full, all in the name of tax, and the person failed to remit the amount, then such a person is liable to penalty and also liable to at least 3 years imprisonment. So the best way to do it is to escalate to the tax authority. That's the best way to do it. But because of business relationship too, there are some things you may not want to do. But the best thing you can do is to escalate, because it means that if you did not do that, you will be the one to pay the money at the end of the day when you want to pay your own tax. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Tayo, for that. Yeah. So additional.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah. So, my question is one, concerning pension for low-income earners. Is it also compulsory to deduct a pension for someone that is earning as low as 45,000, even 50,000? That's number one. Number two is that if two companies jointly procure an asset, or let's say maybe a big generator they are beside each other. So, and is it possible that they can both claim VAT inputs that was charged on that generator?
No, repeat that question, please. I didn't get it. It's not clear.
Two companies that are neighbors. So they procure a non-current assets together.
Okay.
for their use. So and they pay VAT. So is it possible that each of them can claim input VAT?
That's fine. So the first one is this. Pension. There is no minimum amount of salary that is subject to pension. As far as you have employees and you are registered to pay pension, there is no minimum amount. However, you can claim that, oh, some of these guys are contract staff. So on contract staff, you don't need to take pension because they are not your full staff. So they are just on a contract basis, which means that before you know it, you tell them to go. Maybe they are just on 1 year term or 2 years contract. So in that case, you don't need to they are not liable to be subject to pension. If not, every other person liable to pension. Then let me take the other question to say that, can two people, one woman as their wife? It's not possible for a woman to say, I have two husbands. I'm living in two husbands' house. And also, when I go to the tax law, it says that before you can claim capital allowance, the ownership of the asset must not be in dispute. For you to claim capital allowance, the ownership of the asset must not be in dispute. So how can two people acquire an asset? It is impossible. Somebody must have his own name there. There are two different organizations. Mr. A buys the asset and Mr. B wants to share in that asset. Then Mr. A will be charging an amount to be using that asset. So it is not possible for two people to claim VAT on a particular asset or to claim ownership of an asset. One person must be the owner, while the other person will be paying the other one for the use of such an asset. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dayo, for that. So I think, yeah, so let's hear from Adedeji. Hi, Adedeji. So we're almost at 4 p.m. Oh, sorry, at 5 p.m. I know that we have a lot of other things to do. So Nigeria's match, so we need to wrap up, right?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Dayo, well done, sir. Yeah, I just quickly want to ask this question. For someone that is into training and consultancy business, and most of the job the person does is outside the country, though the company is in Nigeria. So at times it take people out to maybe Dubai for international training, and they pay in hard currencies. Now, what can that person charge as its VAT input? I'm talking about VAT now, VAT input. For example, let's say the person charge for a particular 22,000 per participant. And out of that 2,000 naira is going to engage resource persons. The feeding is inclusive. They will buy a souvenir for them, bags, material from that money. And the person has not stipulated in the invoice that 7%. He has not included it in his charges from the claims. So now if he wants to pay VAT on that money, is there any VAT input the person can charge? Thank you very much.
Okay, you remain on mute. Remain on mute. So this is it. The first question, the service is being rendered outside Nigeria. Who are the people that engage such person? Is it that Nigerian company engage them, but they took the service, the training outside Nigeria? You know, organizations do that.
Yes.
They will engage you. They will say, we want you to come to Dubai to come and render that training. So if that is the case, is it liable to VAT? Yes. Because the person that engage you is in Nigeria. But assuming it is companies outside Nigeria that engage you for training and you go there to train them, such is not vatable. We call that exported service. But since it's a Nigerian company that engage you, but the service is performed outside Nigeria, such transaction is liable to VAT in Nigeria. Now, what input VAT can you claim? Yeah, we can now talk of the facilitators. So let's assume that the facilitator is an organization. The facilitator will give you an invoice that, okay, for us to facilitate in this program, this is how much we will also take. You have taken your program, you have taken the training. But for you to engage Dayo is saying that, oh, I'm going to facilitate in the name of my company, not in the name of Dayo. So Dayo will charge you VAT. So the VAT that Dayo is charging you, because that is facilitation fee, then you can claim you can use that facilitation fee as that facilitation fee will be taken as input VAT. Then any other services that you incur, you can claim them as input VAT. But since the training is held in Dubai or wherever that the training is being held, even though you are paying for rent or venue outside the country, you cannot claim such VAT. Even if they charge you anything VAT, that is in their own country. As far as it is not a VAT paid to Nigerian Revenue Service, you cannot claim it in Nigeria. But any VAT that somebody charge you on that training that is payable to Nigerian Revenue Service can be claimed as input on your output VAT. Thank you.
But sir, yes. Like I said, the question, the problem is that, that 2,000 naira, like you said, for the venue you're going to use in abroad, you can't claim VAT because, VAT is being charged on the sales, and the total $2,000 is not the total sales. So what can someone do? Because you said the venue now, because venue we are going to pay for in Dubai training ground. Because I am thinking that because all these suits, the money is coming from
this is it. There's possibility of having reimbursable. When you want to do organized training for entities, you may call some things reimbursable in terms of to pay for the venue. We are not going to bear the liability for the venue to pay for all this. So we are only charging for this. So out of the 2,000, if 1.15 is reimbursable, then such is not liable to VAT. It means it is only your own service fee, facilitation fee, call it, which is the 500. That's what you will charge VAT. But if your invoice is not well defined, if you only put, training 2,000, then the whole training fee is liable to VAT. So I always tell people that in charging VAT, it depends on your invoicing. It's the same thing. Let me relate it to an artisan. You engage a plumber to work for you. And let's say the plumber is a registered person or a well-known plumber that is registered, he has a business name. And in his invoice, he has written that he's going to buy pipe, he's going to buy this, then service fee. Then everything he said is 5 million. So VAT will be on his service fee alone. And that is where you are going to withhold. But if he just puts everything, plumbing service, 5 million, this becomes VATable. And the whole plumbing service is liable to withholding tax. So it's the same way you relate it to the training. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Then lastly, sir, Mr. Dayo, let's say out of maybe 20 people register for that training, 10 paid in hard currency, 10 paid in Nigerian currency. And if you want to remit VAT, in what currency are you going to remit that VAT in totality?
VAT should be remitted in the currency of the transaction. In the currency of the transaction. However, the new act now says that where you don't have the currency, you can convert at the current exchange rates to Naira and pay. Before you cannot convert to Naira. You have to write FRS then that, I want to pay in Naira. I have dollar transaction, but I want to pay the tax in Naira. Advise me on the exchange rate. But now you don't need to tell them to advise you on the exchange rates. The date at the current exchange rates is what you will use. The market, the CBN rates, that's the rate you will use to remit in Naira. So you can convert it to Naira and remit, or you remit it in the foreign currency. But the problem you will now have is tax promise is just one month. You cannot remit dollar and Naira together in the same month. And that's a big challenge that every one of us are here to resolve. So it will now become a problem. How do I remit it? So what do we do in practice is that if you remit currency, the other remit it using VAT with head, but the name of the customer will now be Nigerian Revenue Service. TIN is 0. For you to be able to remit, when it comes, you keep the receipt that, oh, remitted using is actually, and that's why we use FRS name. Because
all right. So
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we'll
Thank
take
you
the
very
last question from
you're
Toby.
welcome.
So we're taking the last question from Toby. So here are people. So sorry, don't be annoyed. We're already out of time. So let's hear the question from Toby.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you, Toby.
Yes, please.
Okay, so for example, it's in regards to PAYE, the staff gets paid below the minimum wage in a particular month, but then they earn twice in a particular month. Middle of the month, that's on the 15th, and month end. On the 15th is say commission, while month end is salary. So for example, the commission and salary equates to more than say 150,000 naira in a particular month. But then in the second month, the staff does not do well, say, to earn a particular commission that amounts to 150. Let's say the staff earns in a month, January, the staff earns by 150,000 naira. But then in the second month, in February, the staff does not earn up to the minimum wage. I'm asking because for the whole year, you're saying if you earn 800K or less, you shouldn't pay that 0%. So what happens when you're saying you're doing a forecast basically to say that 150K in January, then in the next month, so would you pay PAYE on that 150K because it's more than, say, a particular amount in a particular month, or you don't pay at all? I don't know if you get the question.
Yes, I get your question. And that's a very practical one. Very, very practical. So you earns with commission or mix of commission and salary. In the month you see them earning above minimum wage. The same month, another month you see them earning below the minimum wage. Are they liable to tax?
Yes.
Yes, so they are liable to tax because they are not minimum wage earner. As far as they are your staff, they are your employees. But assuming they are on contract, it is very simple. In fact, we don't even need to argue it because it is just withholding tax. Either it's lower than minimum wage or not. But in this case, that they are your staff, and you look at the person that, yes, you earn, you're on commission. It is what you earn, what you do that you earn. Then most times you earn more than 70,000, even though you are being paid twice in a month. That's not the major thing. The major thing is at the end of the month, how much are you paid? So they are liable to pay you because
Sorry,
at the end of the, you said what?
What if at the end of the year, the staff earns in commission and allowance, staff earns less than 800,000 naira? So, for the whole year, for 12 months.
PAYE is on a monthly basis. Yes, PAYE is on a monthly basis. So if you wait till, let's say, oh, this guy might not earn up to 800,000 at the end of the year. What if at the end of the year, his total income is more than 800,000? Who bears the PAYE? Will you now tell the guy to come back and pay the tax, or you will now base it on December salary alone? So that's why I'm saying that on a monthly basis, as the guy earns his income, compute the right tax and remit. Don't wait till the end of the year, unless you are very, very, very sure.
Hello, I can hear you.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, it dropped off. I think one thing I would add is, so I understand the peculiar scenario.
That will still be a minimum tax earner. You cannot earn if your projection meets the reality, you are okay. But if not, you must ensure you deduct pay at every month that the guy earns above 800 and 70,000.
Yeah. So but I think one thing that I think Toby has pointed out, right? Yes, you are remitting on a monthly basis. I think is what I envisage is a shortcoming in how we're dealing with that particular scenario. Because I think what should happen at the end of the day is that if the person's total earnings and the long run, result in such a situation whereby the person would have not even paid on the annual basis. What should happen if everything was working properly is that the tax authority should actually do a refund to such a person, because at the end of the day, his annual earnings means that his total earnings fell below the minimum, that minimum threshold, right? But I think our own system has not yet been structured to handle that scenario. But I think that's the ideal solution that should happen. But I think with time, with this kind of scenario, once we are getting used to our tax authorities start doing remittance or refunds, because we're not even going to that stage where we are getting refunds well, right? I think that's what will end up happening on the long run. But I think because of the system has not been able to handle that scenario well, what will happen is that person's remittance that happened in one of the months will just be at the end of the day. It should just show that, oh, end of the year, this person shouldn't have even paid any pay. However, due to the limitation of how the system is structured, you are paying on a monthly basis, that one will just be considered as paid. That is where I see it, right? But that's just my own personal opinion.
Yeah, that's correct. That's perfectly correct. If the system of refund is in place, yes, it's correct.
So the rate I calculate on a monthly basis is, so what rates now should it be calculated on a monthly basis? Let's say if it falls
there's a template for monthly. There's a template for computing pay on a monthly basis.
Oh,
so
okay.
Some people, what they do is they compute annual and divide the tax payable by 12. Yeah, but that will not give you the correct thing, because how do you want to? For instance, now the salary for January is 120,000. Then somebody will now say multiply the 120,000 by 12, determine the tax, divided by 12. That will be the tax. You cannot bring it back. No, you can easily run your 120,000 on a PAYE template, and you will get the tax without coming back to divide by 12.
All right.
Okay.
So I think we've come to the end of this webinar, and I want to apologize and plead on the behalf of people that have their hands raised. I wish we could go through all the hands, right? But I always try to respect people's time. Yeah. And if people feel that we should still create a webinar around the tax, we can consider having a part 2 of just focus on tax, maybe sometime in February. We typically have webinars every month, right? And basically trying to just help educate and improve the knowledge of accountant across board. So we can consider having something on that specifically just talks about tax, given the high demand of the questions we're seeing around taxes. However, one of the key things I'll just take away is that one greatest investment you can do for yourself is an investment in knowledge, right? And there are so many ways of investing in knowledge. YouTube is a very good platform where you see a lot of knowledge. Right now, from a tax standpoint, you just need to follow resource people. For example, following Taiwo, following the fiscal committee. And usually you see them on TV stations like Channels, right? On Arise TV. And just listen to those communications, right? Some of the documents they release. Like, for example, today they released the rejoinder to the KPMG points that they raised around the gaps and errors in the tax laws. Just reading this could educate us a lot about it, right? And be more than happy to attend webinars and all around the tax laws, right? That could help you a lot. Don't forget, beyond taxes, tax is just an element. I know it's quite critical, especially from the standpoint of as you change jobs, there's no way you not get into interviews and some of these questions will be thrown at you. So if you have knowledge around taxes, it will help you definitely be able to navigate interview sessions, right? But also don't forget that the other hot skills, right? A good knowledge in Excel, a good knowledge around financial reporting. FP&A is growing big as businesses that are realizing that planning and analysis are quite important. Understanding finance operations is also very critical. And also understanding finance, because the reality is a lot of businesses require funds either in form of debt or equity to grow or scale. So it's important we also develop knowledge across our various skill sets based on where we see ourselves, identify our skill set gap, and start investing in those knowledge. YouTube is a very good platform, trust me, right? By just using ChatGPT or Gemini and search, oh, you need YouTube channels that are focused around these core areas of this knowledge, it can recommend like 5 for you. And just on your way home, right, plug in your ears after work, in traffic, just pick one YouTube video, spend 30 minutes. Before you get home, you've learned something. If you do that consistently throughout the year, trust me, you definitely know a lot. I know people have asked about the recording of this webinar. I can tell you for free. It's going to be available on the YouTube channel. So if you just search for Accounting Yard on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch any of our previous webinars. And this one, before tomorrow, by this time tomorrow, this webinar will be available on the YouTube channel, right? So feel free to follow us on YouTube, and so you can learn and keep learning, right? Thanks, everyone. I do appreciate everyone for joining the webinar. I wish we had more time, but definitely just stay in touch. And if we think that we still need a webinar around taxes, we surely will definitely have it. All right. Yeah. All right. So thanks, everyone. Do enjoy the rest of your day, and bye-bye. And yeah, Nigeria must win.